No, I'm looking for things that are undervalued. I don't care if, if I think Amazon's worth 3 times what it's selling for, I'll buy Amazon. It's what it's selling for, I'll buy Amazon. Not really, it's that disruptive, but my point being that I'm not looking for a particular market. If you look at my current portfolio, I always leave it up so everybody can see every stock anybody can take a look at it, and companies out there that are 4 or 5 times below.
What is going on? I don't know what's going on with the background noise here. So 1 second. I'm sorry, Vinny. Quiet. Okay. I think that should be better now. Okay. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what was going on there.
First Strike, are you still there?
I am.
I think we had some little technical difficulties on YouTube real quick, but I think we have it going now, so we might have to go over the first few minutes. I am so sorry. Whenever we have scheduled YouTube, sometimes you have to hit a few extra buttons. So I think I have it fixed.
Okay, and I think I had like a glitch at the same time. Like all I heard was Penny repeating over and over again, so it was really messed up on my end as well. So I think we're back to looking decent here. Sorry about that, everybody. Can you hear me?
I sure can.
Okay, made me nervous for a second. So I guess I'll just go back to the last little bit here. So you bought Microvision at a cheap price. You're not just strictly OTC. You just like anything that's kind of disruptive tech that's undervalued.
Yeah.
Just to get us back.
When it comes down to it, it has to do with where it's priced and what I feel the value should be. And so in order to figure that out, I look at a lot of their comparables. I really dig into the story. And, before I pick a company and tell anybody else about it, I'm going to talk with the company themselves. I expect to talk to, I expect to talk to the CEO. A couple of times I've spoken with the CTO because they truly understood the company better. But that's one of my requirements. If they don't have time for me, they don't have time for my money, and they don't have time for my friends' money. And I think there's maybe 2,800 people in my Discord, and that's it's a pretty rich community. But most of my main posts go on Reddit, and so I really have no idea how big my engagement is there. I think there's maybe 1,500 on the subreddit and followers of my account itself, but Reddit's a really good place to post information and leave it, but Discord is a really good place to have a conversation. And before I'm going to have a conversation with anybody about a company, I need to have complete faith in it. It needs to be something that I'm willing to put my money in. And I guess the threshold for other people's money is a lot higher for me. If I make a mistake with my own money, that's my issue, and I can figure it out. But if I make a mistake with somebody else's money, I don't know what their financial situation is. I really don't want that to happen. So it's research.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I have the same problems as well. So, and we'll get into that later on with one of my situations. So I hear this all the time. I was told this when I first got into the market. everybody says don't trade penny stocks. It's not worth it's not worth the risk for the reward. Obviously, I think you might have a different opinion.
I have an absolutely different opinion. I think there are few stocks or segments of the market that are as easy to evaluate. Penny stocks are the proving ground of the stock market. A company has to prove their worth. They have to prove that they can produce value for their shareholders, or their stock languishes. They go into reverse split after reverse split. They do. They end up doing toxic dilutions. There's lots of signs that tell you that a company is not doing well. On the other hand, robust investor relations information, management that's willing to answer questions, and a playbook and a framework for where they're going and what sets them apart. If they can communicate that to you, you can have a pretty good idea of where they're going. So I actually feel that penny stocks are a lower risk for me. You've got a company that, your regular blue chip stocks, well, they have these huge marketing departments that can spin things however they want. There's so much misinformation that it would take a team of people to really dig through and try and have some semblance of an idea of what's going on. Penny stocks, I can typically call the CEO and say, hey, my name's Penny, and I'd like to invest in your company if it's a fit. And I'm going to get the answers I need. And, I probably go through 10 companies, actually talking to the CEO for every one company that I do decide to pick up. So, and that, it's a lot more companies than that I go through my initial round that never even get a call because I can tell that they're not a fit for me or my investors.
Right. Okay, so when you're buying into stocks, what makes you decide when to press the button? Do you trade off of fundamentals, TA, sentiment, or momentum? Are you just like the research person and then you have other people that do TA, or how does that work for you guys?
I think sentiment's important, but I'm honestly looking for the opposite. If my research says that a company is a buy and the price is dropping, that looks like a really juicy opportunity for me. So I will use TA, and when I say I use TA, what I'm really using is my friends that are much better than me at parsing that technical analysis, and I'll ask and see, where do you think the bottom is? How wide is this trading channel? I'm going to get all that information, and then I'm going to make my buys. One of the reasons I really like penny stocks is because I think of companies in terms of how much of it can I own? What percent of this company can I own? And a lot of times it's a decimal followed by several zeros, to get to the percent I can own. But I'm gonna buy bigger chunks, so the volume's really important to me. I'll typically watch the volume for 4 or 5 days before I even make a move, unless I have a incoming catalyst. And all of the companies that I'm looking at, they need to be rich in catalysts. I need to know that there's going to be several legs up in the trading channels.
Right.
Because there's plenty of good companies out there that don't trade well and are not going to trade well because they don't have the information to release, and they have softer catalysts.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was trading with like one of my very first trades was AVGR, a Vinger, and like you couldn't get them to release anything about all the stuff that they had going on. They had some like a big catalyst coming up, and it was just like patiently waiting, and eventually it just kind of like petered out. It went from like 70 some cents up to like $2 and some, and then I eventually just sold it because I couldn't find like the PR and everything was just so terrible. And I think it's back down to like the 70-cent range again. So it's having somebody that actually knows how to create, that momentum for the stock is a big deal as well.
Yeah, and I truly think that, in the stock market, that momentum is critical. But momentum is really a group of people sharing an understanding about a stock, and that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. I've noticed that if I say, buy this company, I think it's going up. Well, and if we all buy it, guess what? It's going to go up. And it might not have anything to do with the merits of my research. So what I've uncovered is what continues to hold a company's price up. But I mean, lots of companies like Cielo right now, it's a company, it's a basically, trash into renewable diesel that is, the price has been all over the place lately because they need to release some press releases. They need to inform their investors. And when a company fails to realize that their investors are truly their owners and that they deserve communication, the price suffers. And that's that's kind of the death knell to a over the counter stock, in my opinion.
Right. Let's see. You were saying, so you were talking about how you usually talk to like a CEO or something about what's going on with the company. How hard do you find it to actually reach out to them and actually get some time from them?
There have been a few companies that have been difficult to get a hold of, and I typically send a polite email letting them know, this is my name, this is I write. I let them know that I write research on my long holds, and I typically attach a few samples of other write-ups I've done, and if they're smart enough, they'll look at the date and they'll look at the ticker symbol and they'll see what happened and they'll call me back. And that's been my experience. I've only had one company not give me the interview I wanted.
Do you care to share which company that was?
No, they get no airtime at all.
I like that. I like that answer. That's what I was hoping to hear from you. Okay, so you talked about Microvision. How long do you typically hold a stock? I mean, obviously you held Microvision for a pretty decent time. Do you always hold no matter what, or do you just do you have your sell price in mind ahead of time?
I set rules, and I typically don't base things on a particular price. And when I do drop a company, I notify my Discord, I notify on Reddit, and I mark it in the PQTF, it's the Penny Queen Traded Funds. And those companies stay on there as a discontinued company. But one thing I do as part of transitioning out of a company is say I want 500,000 shares of, any company. I'm typically going to buy 1.5 million shares, and with a certain catalyst in mind, so that once that price is up 2 or 3 times my initial buy, then I can leave those 500,000 shares in there, and they're either free or they're free and then some. And then I can take that, bigger pile of money onto the next company. So my goal is to always leave a company better than I found it. I may decide that it's no longer a fit for me, but my goal is not to, make its price crash. I want that company to continue to do well. There's a reason I picked it in the first place.
Right. I agree. Well, talking about that and talking about how many shares you're buying at a time, how does that play a role with the the float of a penny or a sub penny stock? And if anybody doesn't know what a sub penny is, obviously that's something that's under 0.01, so 0.00 whatever. You can kind of change in the price of a stock if you're buying that many shares.
I personally have to be careful because a lot of times, there's some companies that I own where, my entire share count I could sell and the price would only, go up or down 2 or 3 cents. Right. Like I look at Cielo, its average volume is over 3 million. I'm only a portion of one day in my share count. Then I look at other companies I own, and I own several days worth of average volume. So in those situations, if I want to sell, I need to do it carefully and patiently. But the other part of it is that I'm also letting people know that I'm selling. So that selling pressure could conceivably go up because of that. But I also think that it's only fair for, if I'm telling somebody that I think something's a buy, when I don't think it's, when I think it's time to sell, I need to let them know. And so we're all trying to get out at the same time. But I've only had that happen, I think, 2 times, and it wasn't a major crisis.
Nice. Yeah, because I know there's some pretty small float penny stocks out there that it doesn't take a whole lot for them to move, but they got to have people buy them to move them, right? So that can be a problem sometimes. Okay, since you do trade OTC, I have a lot of people in here that have like Webull and other companies like that where they don't trade OTC. Which brokers do you recommend on buying penny stocks?
Say what I use and what I recommend are different. I use TD Ameritrade. Almost everything's available, but I think they're like $6 I think it's $6 a trade. I know I spent over $1,000 in OTC trades in 1 month, so I've quit looking. Fidelity is great because you can buy, especially for me, the Canadians. Sometimes they don't have a U.S. ticker, or the U.S. ticker has no volume, and I'll buy on the Canadian side. But those are $19 a trade. So if you're spending, $200,000 in a trade, who cares about $19? But if you're making reasonable trades, I think Charles Schwab is probably, I think they don't charge for their OTC, and I believe they have a lot of availability.
Yeah, I agree. I use Schwab myself for the penny stocks that I'm interested in, that I follow. So yeah, thank you for that information. Let's see, what do I want to get into next? All right. I guess these two can kind of go together. Where do you start with your DD? How long does a typical DD take you? And how do you find the companies that you potentially want to do DD on?
For the most part, I find the companies that I want to do DD on because somebody sends me a message or they fill out my DD request. And my DD request is it's just a channel in my Discord where you can put in any company you think might fit. And as I go through it, I'm looking at what the float is. The basic thing I really want to know is why do they think this company's good? What is it about this company? But I want the symbol. I want to know the market cap, how many shares are outstanding, what the float is, how much is held by insiders and institutions. And none of those are make or break for me. But the real big question is, why is it a good choice, and what are the upcoming catalysts? And I've spent 2 weeks researching the company only to decide that I did not like it. And, I don't consider that to be wasted time. But once I pick up a company, then after my interview, it depends. I have a kind of a backlog of interviews right now because there's some companies that I like, and I've told my Discord and I've told people on Reddit that I am adding this company, but you'll see DD in a while. And I'm holding those because there's different catalysts that are coming up. And I don't want somebody to put their money down on something that's not going to move for 2 months. And so but I tell them ahead, and some people might allot a portion of their portfolio to it, and they might be getting a better price. But earlier this month, I was told about a company called Zortec, which is a biotech, and I think I was told on the 8th No. I was told on a Friday, and I think it was 18 cents. On Monday, I had researched it all over the weekend, and I thought it had some pretty good catalysts. And so I told everybody I was going to have a new company for them on Tuesday. On Monday, I put in a fairly large bid, and it started to move the price. So I just told everybody right then because I figured it was only fair. But I think it was 17 cents on that Monday, and we're hanging out around 39. So I had really no time. I had to get my DD out that Wednesday. So I spent 2 days writing, and it's definitely not my best work. But a finished DD for me is normally around 15 pages. So it's I know most of the people who see it and end up investing probably didn't read the whole thing, but it's the pieces that are important for me to know. So I may as well put them out there for people and provide all the links so that they can continue to research if that's, part of their plan. But, typically I get it done in a week.
Right. Yeah, and I'm just looking through here. I was going to show some of these people some of your DD because I was looking for the one that you were just talking about, but it seems like it's removed everywhere. I can't find the find it for the
Apparently, I do have a copy. I can send. I'll actually.
I mean,
Let's see.
I know that there's. Let's see. This one's 11 days ago. Is this? No, this isn't it. Yeah, I just wanted to give everybody an idea of like what it really truly means to be like to know what you hold, like, and you know what you hold based off your DD. So I just want people to understand that, like, and that goes for any company. That doesn't just go for penny stocks. That goes for, a lot of people are in AMC right now, and AMC obviously nobody cares about fundamentals. They care about the short squeeze. So it's like you have to understand what you're in and what's going on with it, just as a like to add some context, I guess, for that as well. So
Yeah, I'm dropping you a link right now. This is the Penny Queen Traded Fund. So it's a listing of all the companies that I have given the go ahead, and next to them is links to the DDs that I've written on them. Some of them still have it pending, and that's because I said, hey, I'm investing in this, but the DD comes later because I want to time it with Catalyst so that, our volume actually does something good for each other as well.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I just threw that up there real quick for you. Appreciate that. I meant to find it before I meant to add this to the things I was going to show, and I forgot. So I'm glad that you brought it up. So yeah, she tracks everything. Talks about when they bought it, when the DD started, what it's currently trading at. So she really keeps a good eye on all of these things. And then I can click these, right, and these come to your DD, or this goes straight to the link to the. So let's see, where's the one that I just. Is that on the next? How come I can't find the Ortex one? Not Ortex. Sorry. So yeah, so you get, and this is a link that I can share. Go, oh, here it is.
Click on. Those are just links. If on the right hand side.
Oh, right here.
If you go all the way over, yeah, go ahead and click New Locks. It's up in the middle.
Like right here.
Yeah, apparently our penny stocks on Reddit seems to be getting me confused for a brand. I've been accused a couple of times of working for companies or being paid DD, which is not true. I have had several companies approach me asking me to do DD, and they are on my blacklist because that's absolutely unacceptable. They can hire a marketing company if that's what they want.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like that's the way to do things. They should have their own. They should be paying their own people to do that. So
yeah, I mean, it's one thing. It's one thing to produce work and for yourself and for other people, and it's a completely other to produce paid work and pretend it's not. So I've got I've got issue with that, but it seems fairly common.
Right. Yeah. See, I'm still scrolling. You know, like this doesn't stop. Like this is how you do DD on something that you're going to own, and not be worried about it being a penny stock. So, I mean,
Yeah.
this is huge. And the way that me and Penny actually met was I was doing research on and DD on metamaterials, and saw one of her Reddits, and I immediately like had to talk to her, and because she had stuff that I had not known about. This goes back I don't know, probably maybe a month or so now, that I first
Yeah, and
reached out
I
to you.
I think I wrote my original DD in February.
Yeah, and I think I
So
read
that
it.
was a painfully long hold for me.
Yeah. So yeah, this is her DD, guys. This is oh, now I'm starting to echo again. I wonder what's going on there. I shouldn't be echoing. I haven't done these in a little while, so I'm sorry that I'm a little rough on the edges, but let's see. Okay, so when you're trading penny stocks, do you really worry about all the major indexes and what the broader market's doing? Or does it affect the penny stocks as much as you would think of as another normal, like blue chip?
You know, it definitely has an effect. You know, red day on the market, it's going to be red everywhere. But I do think there is a cycle, you know, where people go into growth stocks and then back out, and you know, just because it's a penny stocks aren't to me a category. I mean, it's another label for a company, but you know, some of these are growth companies, some of them are just pharma, some of them, you know, maybe, you know, they're all in different sectors, but bad day on the market's bad all around. And sometimes the pennies get hit worse because I think a lot of investors there, that is a hold they have less confidence in, because a lot of them they buy it as a lotto ticket.
Right. Lotto ticket. So, talking about lotto tickets, do you ever trade any options with any of your you know, like Microvision? You know, obviously now it's got an options chain.
By the way, I can see the picture you have up of me, and that is a accurate representation, by the way.
The picture of you. Where do I have it? Oh,
I do have a question.
Yeah, sorry, I stole your Reddit.
How did you get
character.
into doing penny stock? Like, is there a specific reason why you started doing them and looking into them?
You know, I was looking for clean technology companies, and they just happened to have this really cheap price almost across the board. There were some, like I looked at Givo, I saw that after it had really popped, and but I kept looking, and I was finding these price points of, you know, 5 to 15 cents, and I realized that I could buy a whole lot more, and that the movements are magnified. You know, if I own 1,000 shares of a company and it goes up, you know, 1 cent, great. You know, what do I have now? $10. But if I own 100,000 shares of a company and it goes up a penny, you know, it's a much bigger gain. And I have played a lot in the sub pennies before I really developed a taste for what I wanted. With the sub pennies, there is some truth, so you can look and find out what's a real company and what isn't. It seems that it's harder to get that information. Right now, I only have one sub penny on my list. It's in my dirty pennies list, and it's RushNet, and it's sub DPLS, but it's not a sub penny anymore. So I just found that even in the bid and ask process on those companies, where, you know, if you don't get your bid and you have to change it, you know, 0.001 cent to get it, you may have just increased your price by 10%. So there's a lot more fluctuation, but a lot of those really have way too many shares for me to be comfortable with them. But I just found that the penny stocks were easier to get to understand the company. And I really enjoy the fact that I can call someone and get them to talk to me. I doubt I can call Amazon and, talk to the CEO. It's very unlikely to happen. If it does, that would be great. I'm still not where I want my money.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. So everyone's going to kind of laugh at me, but a penny stock that I've been actually following for a little bit of time now is actually a Blockbuster. It's been kind of a fun little thing to watch because everyone knows Blockbuster, right?
Yeah.
The epic story and the fall of grace, basically. You have the one Blockbuster store now. So as someone I've been kind of tracking along, and they go up maybe a penny here, maybe I think they got up to 3 cents or something a little bit ago. So do you have a take on that one? I'll pick your brain on this one. Actually,
So,
it's 5. They got up to.
I would tell you that I think a company like that already has enough notoriety that you could expect a wild swing out of it. But I would really dig into what that could possibly be. So, Blockbuster is sitting at essentially 0.0017, right? So, and the actual, I think it's like BB liquidating, right? Is it BLIAQ?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So that's one that could definitely get picked up it could become popular, and that would be a huge catalyst for it. But I'd actually call the company and see if they have any plans, because it's a well-known name. That's got to be worth a ton right there. But the market cap, what's hilarious is when I actually type it in. So the market cap, it's a $3 million company. So there's probably a lot more that goes into that. I don't know what kind of bills they have.
Right.
And I think they have two. I think they also BLIBQ.
That I'm not sure. I'd only been able to find the one stock.
Okay, well, there's another one, and that one is at 3/10,000th of a penny. So I think you could definitely get some run up out of it, but it would require hype, and hype it's short lived. So if it were to go up, that there's going to be a loser in that. So whether it's you or somebody else who ends up buying the shares from you, and unless they change the fundamentals of the business, I'd consider that one a lotto ticket.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one I've been okay, maybe just for nostalgic reasons.
Reach out to them. When I like to think of it, especially if you're not paying anything for OTC trades, you're like, how many shares can I get for $10? I have bought companies that were priced really low just so I could own 1 million shares of it, and for no other reason. And I waited and I sold it the next day. And on one of them, I ended up actually making a, probably I think about 30% profit, because it just happened to move up. It might have been my order. I didn't bother to track the actual volume on it, but those are fun. They're just not something where you can truly figure out what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. And I actually just did the math. $10 would get you 5,882 shares.
So that's kind of worth owning right there.
Right.
That's
because the thing I would think about is something like that, and someone also said like Atari, these nostalgia type things, because you figure, with the things going on with Blockbuster, AMC, everyone's kind of in this nostalgic feel, and they have such a fun little documentary that they did on the one and only Blockbuster left.
In Bend, Oregon.
Yes. And so I don't know, like maybe the nostalgia companies they could make a comeback. Like my husband and I were actually talking, like, what would it take to, open up a Blockbuster in like a touristy area, right? Like, 'cause we live in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And I mean, how epic would that be just to be like, in these just random little tourist areas, and people could be like, oh, well, that's kind of something fun. Like, oh, what'd you do on vacation? Oh, I went to Blockbuster. What? You did what? And so I don't know, it's just something different, I guess.
I'd call them and ask them how much it would cost for a franchise license. Maybe it'll cost you $10.
It could. They'd be like, "Are you kidding? We'll pay you to open one." No.
Ken, I'm still having a little issue with my kiddo. So if you have any other questions, go right ahead. I'll be right back.
No worries. Okay, I can dive into these. So, because so I guess my only yearly, like, my husband used to do penny stocks. He loves penny stocks. That's how he actually built up his portfolio. Would you relate? I don't know if this is diving into a different area. I don't know if you know these areas, but like the sub penny cryptos, like crypto is kind of becoming a thing too. Would you relate those kind of the same way? Kind of just like fun flips, or do they not have the same volatility?
With the so I have plenty of bad habits, but one of them is investing a little bit of money in every new crypto I can. And I just consider it an entertainment cost, because I'm writing that money off the second I drop it in there. But there have been several pennies that have had 61,000% growth in a year. And so if one of the pennies that I've dropped money into does that, it'll pay me back for all the other ones that didn't. But as it is, I do own some Bitcoin, and I own Cardano, and I did have some Polygon until last week. But all the other ones are just whatever seems to pop up and is available. But this is all money that, I don't believe anybody should invest any money that they actually need, because you're exposing it to risk. And in this sense, I mean, this is nothing more than a roll of the dice. It's not, there's no education made on it. I mean, the reason I bought Cardano was based on the fundamentals of it. The reason I bought Bitcoin was because it's, its power as a store of value. But all the other ones have been nothing more than, close your eyes and hope.
I understand that completely. So my biggest, sorry guys, I didn't realize I'm so far away from my mic. The biggest pray and hope one I have is SafeMoon. I don't know if you've heard anything about it.
Yeah.
It's like 5 zeros before it hits an actual number. So, no, and it's like, people that got into it, that are getting into it, you can put $20 into it and you have 1 million some odd token. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I love that you kind of look at it that way, like, oh, well, if I have at least one that can go up, 600% or whatever. I mean, because like Doge happened, right? Doge was a sub penny, and right. It's sitting at what, 30-40 cents now or something crazy. So yeah, I love that you look at it that way, because anything's possible. I mean, it just takes some hype train to pop it up, and everything else is house money.
And I do watch them just to because I don't want to miss that spike. and they are, you can use technical analysis on cryptocurrencies just the way you can on regular stocks. So I'm happy with my current holdings. If I think overall in the crypto world, I'm up about 8x since the beginning of the year, and that's not with a lot of knowledge. That's more, my friend said to do this, so I did, which I'm comfortable with in this realm. So, I mean, there's 1,000 ways to make money in the market, and there's probably 2,000 ways to lose money. And whenever I do something that I haven't fully researched, I accept the consequences of that.
So I know it's kind of a penny stock, given that it's under $5. Your take on Meta, because you say you can. There's 1,000 ways to lose money, and I know our community is actually just kind of avoiding that part of our portfolio at the very moment.
Yep.
So
well, I would. So earlier, I talked about how I will buy something, and I'll buy more than I actually want to hold, and I will play those catalysts. So my expectation with the merger, I actually thought that we're going to go farther on the squeeze on the Torch side. And the Meta side did what I thought it would do. And everybody got locked in. Like I said, they would get locked in. I left some shares in because I knew that members of my Discord were not pulling out. But I sold the vast majority of mine right around, I think around 1240 for my Meta. And so now I have the money to put back into it because there was so much confusion around that, and it's painful for people who, some people went in late. They hopped in after it was already moving up, and they didn't get those nice early buy-in prices. Other people bought in early, and they ended up having these giant balances in their accounts and only to watch it go away, which, I had that happen earlier this year with, the first microvision spike. I was up $3 million one day, and then it was essentially gone the next day because I needed to learn a lesson on when to sell and how much to sell. So that was something I wasn't going to do again. And now the price is settling, but what made me do my DD on the company didn't change. It's an amazing company with amazing technology. And, if you talk to George, he is so excited about it. He understands what he's doing. They've done everything correct. They've done what they told me they were going to do. They're going to make some acquisitions. They now have revenue. They had some revenue before, but they're going to have a lot more revenue. And I expect all good things from Metamaterials. I actually expect it to become a household name. But that might not happen in a year. So if people can accept that in their portfolio and can leave it there, or can, average down, that's a good opportunity. But I do think there's other places to make money faster right now. So Meta's still on my list. I still own some, but it's not anything like the amount I held before, because they need to get through this transition and then start coming out with PRs from when they're actually doing things. I did expect that after the merger, they would be releasing a few pieces of very good PR, because I've heard many things that pointed to some wonderful things happening with them, and maybe those things still are happening, and maybe they're just going to come out on their own time once contracts have been signed, or maybe we're just in a waiting game for a while. So it's an amazing company with amazing technology, and the thing that doesn't get covered a lot is their ability to scale. So metamaterials they can print at 1 meter by really any length, whereas all of their competition can do essentially 6 inches by 6 inches. It's just printing. So what they need to do to make a 5G antenna, or to make something that reflects all of those waves, is just change the printing. They don't need to change the material. They don't need to do anything. So I expect them to be licensing their technology so that they'll not have to be utilizing a lot of capital expenditure, and they'll be growing their revenue streams that way. So long term, it's great. Right now, it's painful.
Yeah, no, definitely. Oh, I'm echoing now. But yeah, I'm glad that you covered a lot of that, because yeah, the graphene technology that they're going to be using, and different acquisition groups, they just bought a nanotech company, so I think that's pretty awesome. There's hope, right? And then if anybody got
cash.
Yeah,
so
it will.
I mean, we know that. We were all there when they raised it, which really hurt. But
oh yeah,
but they have the cash they need. Yeah, remember that. They have the cash they need to execute. So, and there's there's such amazing technology. When I wrote my original DD, I had to cover Torchlight and the merger, and I felt like I was wasting my space, because I could have gone on about their technology for 40 pages. I don't think anybody would have enjoyed reading it, but I could have done it. And so I'm really excited to see what happens. But yeah, it is a waiting game, and I know a lot of people have they're experiencing a lot of loss, whether it's profits they didn't capture, or if it's actual monetary losses. So.
And so have you looked into the short data on it as well? Is that something else that you're tracking on it, or?
I've looked, but I can't make sense of any of it. I mean, in all honesty, every time I look, there's so much information, and I don't know. So the metamaterials subreddit is mine, and I don't know if you guys have been on there. Yeah.
Oh, I follow that so much.
Don't tell anyone, because it's an absolute cluster every time I look in there. So I've been doing the close your eyes and look away version of management.
I think you just told everybody, so
oh no. Yeah, there's so many emotions wrapped up in it, and so it's hard to believe anything that I'm actually reading, because one, nobody can get straight facts from anyone. I mean, it's not like there's one place we can go to find out who's short, how long have they been short, what, we can't find these things out. We can get clues, we can get, partially reported, we can get voluntarily reported numbers. It's a whole lot that doesn't put any more money in our pocket. It doesn't give us any leverage. It's like dwelling on that one person that dumped you in high school.
Oh yeah, well, and the merger didn't help either, because you have the Torch short numbers, and having it brand new on the NASDAQ, like it's a mess. So I didn't know if you'd been trying to figure out that information, because I've tried making heads or tails of it. Like
I gave up, but I have less skin in the game. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is that I'm able to go, okay, this sucks, but I guess the real lesson on this is always taking 25 to 35% out at all-time highs, and making that an actual rule. So sure, you might miss out on some profits, but the amount of losses that you're not going to have to take they're huge, right? I mean, I did the math. I went back through my trading history, and I did the math on what would have happened if I would have taken out 25 to 35% all the all-time highs. And I don't mean every single, new all-time high. I just mean, one day it hits a peak, not taking it out the next day when it's just about the same thing. But I would have had 47% more money after my first complete year of trading.
Wow.
So
That's insane.
yeah, it was also a lot of math, and I don't ever want to do it again. But
I do
that
have
was a lesson learned.
I have a question from YouTube. Do you know anything about QNC?
I do. It used to be Quantum Numbers Corporation. It is now Quantum Emotion. And it is one of my picks. It's on the PQTF. I have DD that is pending. I expect to see a physical product in the September-October timeframe, which by my math gives them first mover advantage. QNC trades around 30 cents Canadian, so I don't know, 20, I think that's right. Because all of these companies are Canadian, I go back and forth, and my conversions get bad because I'll own them on both sides of the border. I think this is the company that's going to be over $1 probably before the end of the year. This is the company that I'm going to check while I'm on here. Yeah, Quantum Emotion, they are trading right now at 25 cents US. So that gives them a market cap of $25.5 million, right? So not very big. They had a Monte Carlo done, which is, basically a mathematical evaluation of where their values could be. And the middle amount, I think it was $1.5 billion was the low, $2.5 billion was the medium, and $3.5 billion was the high valuation for them. So if you want to talk about potential and, lotto ticket, it's an amazing company. I interviewed the CEO, Francis Bolito. I think it's probably been about 3 weeks ago. And he had some really interesting things to say. But what makes them different is they're actually using light and, or let's say electrons. So they basically have an electron gun and they are firing electrons at a membrane. And electron can be particle or wave. So the particles don't go through the membrane, the waves do. It's random. And they use the count of the electrons that come through the other side as a basis of their random number generation. Anybody else that, is trying to give you random numbers, they're not truly random because they're based on all sorts of funky algorithms like, the humidity in Toronto times the wind speed in Calgary or just some random things, but they can always be hacked. So QNC, they have a much smaller components. I think they're like 20 microns by 20 microns for their chips. So there's like truly tiny, and they can actually prove that it randomly generated numbers. So these can be utilized for VPNs. They could use it for blockchain. I mean, there's so much that they can apply this to. The real problem is trying to figure out where, trying to pick a direction to go in. But I expect really big things out of them. Full disclosure, I think I own about 1.5 million shares. So it's not a company that I kind of like. It's a company I like a lot.
Oh gosh, that is a ton. I appreciate you going over that. That's crazy. I'm gonna look into it definitely.
Yeah, it's a truly interesting company.
Okay. Oh, I'm back. I've been back for a
I
while.
believe First Strike is back. Or do you have anything left?
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry about that, Penny. Kids. But since you guys were talking about my least favorite stock now, MMAT, I was wondering, what your thoughts are on the Torchlight dividends.
I stick with, I think they're, well, do you want me to lie to you? What are you looking for today? I don't think the dividends are going to be worth more than, say, maybe $1. I don't know if you read my initial DD. I priced it out with all of the numbers that had been given to me, and it was a range between $1 and $20. But when you look at a company that was trading at, I don't know, 10 cents earlier in the year, I find anything over $1 to mean that they were either very poorly managed before that, or I mean, there's a lot that could happen, but you also see some of these bigger oil companies trying to get out of some of their holdings in the Permian Basin. So I don't have high hopes for it. If it ends up being anything truly spectacular, I'll end up with some extra cash, as we all will. But yeah, my primary hold was Meta through all of this.
Right. Okay, and then why don't we just go through? I don't know how much time you have, Penny. What do you got for time?
Oh, I'm fine.
Okay.
My children are across the country right now, so I'm fine.
Nice. I'm glad you decided to spend the time with us. Some of your free time with us. Out of your PQTF, what's like your favorite, or maybe the one you think is going to move the soonest, or maybe this is the question I should ask. Sorry, guys. What's the one that you had the most fun doing the DD on out of your PQTF?
Oh, that's a really hard question, honestly. I would say I honestly have to go back with Microvision, because my DD was honestly putting together the best of the DD of other people. So I got to read through it. Reading my own stuff gets pretty boring after a while. But other than that, I think Cielo has been, for Cielo, I bet 1,000 members of my Discord are invested in it. And the amount of conversation that goes on about that company, and I mean, it truly is novel. They are taking garbage, plastic, any kind of plastic, and they're processing it and turning it into a diesel fuel that puts off very low greenhouse gases. I mean, it's amazing stuff. It's stuff we need. And watching this happen, and it's slow. Today they released news that they'd finished, the purchase of a chunk of land that they're going to build another facility on, and the amount of speculation that happens in those channels is insane. It's like, I have to say, I had a Meta channel that was crazy leading up to the merger, and the Cielo channel is busy all the time. But I mean, right now I have I have 13 different companies that each have one channel or more in my Discord. So there's always a lot going on. Some of the companies that don't have their DD out yet are, I would say, my favorites. Quantum Emotion. I mean, I'm a huge fan of that one. And that was some, random person contacted me about it on Reddit, and I went down the rabbit hole.
Nice. Well, that's about all we really have for questions for you. I really do appreciate you taking the time to come and hang out with us and talk about penny stocks, and just go over the market with us, and how you do your DD. And I find it pretty interesting that you get a hold of these CEOs pretty easily. And I'm just every time I look through one of these, I'm like, how does she do it? But I do really appreciate you taking your time out tonight for us at the schoolhouse. And I think we're kind of becoming kind of a lot of our members are kind of into your thing now, because I kept pushing people over there. Because everybody's always interested in penny stocks, right? It's like you said before. When I first started investing, it was the same thing. You buy Apple, and I could afford like one, and it's like, well, it went up $10, yay, and that's exactly why I was like, this is stupid. Why don't I just find some penny stocks? And same thing, people just recommended some to me, and do some DD on them, and then know what I own, and that's what, like, that's my number one rule. When people tell me, how do I get into a stock, and I'm like, well, you have to know what you own, and then you can go from there. So I don't know if you have any of those kind of sayings, or what you would normally tell anybody that's like maybe new to getting into trading. Do you want to share with anybody?
Well, I mean, I think what you said about how much something goes up when when it's penny stock, you own more. Owning more shares, it doesn't matter what the dollar amount is. It honestly feels better to own, hey, I own 5,000 shares of this company. Sure, it cost me $15, but I own this, and I mean, I feel more attached to a company the more shares I have. I would rather have, 5,000 shares of some random penny stock than one share of Tesla. Maybe I'm bad at math, but I feel better about it, and it makes me pay more attention. It makes me really look into it. And I think the biggest mistake that new investors make is being overwhelmed and not, kind of panicking instead of really looking into it and trying and learning more. So don't be discouraged. Every time I lose money, I call that tuition, and hopefully I learned my lesson, and I actually write down what I did wrong when I make these errors, and it helps me to be better and to not repeat the same errors over and over again. So
yeah, that's a great idea. Not something I forget to tell people. Write down your wins and losses, and study your losses. Figure out where you went wrong. Did you read the chart wrong? It's also important to even talk to somebody another trader that you talk to a lot, and go back and forth about where you win and where you lose, and try and learn from those losses, because that's that's how you get better. I'm more of a technical trader. I'm not really much of a fundamental trader, but I do pretty decent with all of that. I will ask you this last little question. The last 2 days, MMAT has had a decent push up. Are you looking into seeing if it's gonna? Are you looking to buy back in?
I am not going to buy back in until I am transitioning out of one other company first. Okay. So, and I guess I'm not transitioning out of the other company. I am going to be selling my extra shares in the other company. I said I buy in bigger than I intend to keep.
Yep.
So as soon as that catalyst takes place, then I'll be buying back in my Meta shares, and I'll just look at the chart then, and I'll call my friends who are better at reading the chart, and I'll take a look and make sure that make sure that it's a good time. But there's not a lot out there to really let us know. I mean, we have the chart, and we're waiting on more information. I did tell George that I was going to do a full DD on Meta after the merger, and I will do that, but it's a way down on my list right now, because I don't expect huge crazy movements.
Yeah, I understand. And then I guess one other question I would like to ask, because a lot of people forget about these things. If you just sold Meta, you need to wait a certain amount of days. Everybody says 30 days for a wash sale rule. So I don't know if everybody understands have you got caught in that by chance, or you've lost?
Of course I have. everything I know about every rule I know, I learned the hard way. Sure, somebody could have told me about wash sale rules, but it wasn't until I actually did it that I learned my lesson. So I have done that, and it's typically not a big deal, but I did it once with Microvision, and it was about a $200,000 wash sale
Ouch.
issue.
Ouch.
So but it's tuition.
Right.
It will not happen again. I know what I'm doing, and I would like to think that the next time I could possibly do it, it would be with more money. So maybe I saved myself money by screwing up early on.
Right. So anybody that doesn't understand what we're talking about, a wash sale rule is, like, let's say a lot of us are holding Meta, and we're down, a lot. Let's say you were to sell Meta, like last week, and all of a sudden you see it trading decently the last 2 days, and you decided to buy back in. Well, if you lost $100,000 last week when you sold it, as soon as you press the buy button, either on the equity side of the shares or the derivative side, but of the options, as soon as you press buy, you just lost your losses for your taxes that year. So that's something that a lot of people forget. I have a lot of buddies that have lost. They basically had to get out of the stock market because they lost so much money due to capital gains and wash sale rules. So everybody pay attention to that, because if you don't, they'll come back to get you real good. So if she sold at a loss, she has to wait. Everybody says 30 days. I try to play
31.
31. I try and play it a little bit more safe. I try to go 45, just because. And the best way to do that is like put a reminder on, if you're looking to buy back into a company after you press the sell for a loss. I set an alarm in my phone that says, don't buy this until then. And then that kind of reminds me in my head that I can't touch that until this point happens, until the next, so that's just something that I really look at. And then one more thing with capital gains, how do you try to offset, do you make a lot of charitable donations, or what do you do to try and save money on your taxes every year?
Well, this will be my second year of really, really paying out. And one, I own a farm. So there is no bigger hole than a person can throw money in than a farm. So, but this year it's going to be offset with charitable contributions, and figuring out the right strategy for that. A lot of the tax law has changed, but there's some really good things out there that you can do, and I feel like paying my fair share. I'll just say that first, but once you get into, once everything is taxed at 44%, there is a limit to how much I feel I should be paying, and other than that, I'd rather choose where that money goes. So, plenty of really good charities out there. None that I know of that help people learn how to play penny stocks, though. So.
All right.
Well, I have one last question for you. Whenever you do release your DD on Q&C, would you be willing to come back on here and talk about it?
Sure.
That would be wonderful. We're having a lot of requests on YouTube for it, so.
Yeah, it's it's an amazing company, and I have to say that I can see them having a several dollar valuation very soon. Just look at Microvision in March of 2020, and look at Quantum Emotion now. So it's what they can do, and they've got a head start, and they run a very lean organization. I think their monthly costs are something like $100,000, and for a corporation that is actually in research and development, that has created product that is that is slim. So yeah, I would love to. It's an amazing company, and They've got some really cool tech.
I look forward to it. We're gonna set that one up.
All right.
I
Perfect.
appreciate you being here, but Tyson, you can do your ending if you have it.
Yeah, like I said, I just really appreciate you. I'm sorry that I threw some more questions at you at the end.
Oh, no worries.
But I really do appreciate it. Maybe every time you do a DD, I'd love to have you on because it's just so precise, and you can tell that you do your work at it for sure. I don't know how you find the time with firefighting and being a mom and a mom and a husband, a mom and a wife. Sorry. But yeah, I really do appreciate you going on here. It sounds like there's going to be some people. You might see some buying pressure. I think maybe on QNC like tomorrow. Sounds like everybody's pretty excited about it.
That'd be good. Yeah, they got a mention in Forbes. I think that came out yesterday or the day before. So I think it's going to be the sort of thing where nobody knows who they are, and then everybody knows who they are. So, but this is why, this is why I troll the penny stocks. I'm looking for that next big thing, and there's so much leverage in buying something at these tiny price points. Those people working so hard to get these companies off the ground, and this is the part, we want to be there for when they get recognized for what they actually possess. So I'd love it if you guys all take the quantum emotion ride with me too. So.
Well, I think I might be ahead of some of the people in our Discord because I already have a Schwab account, so I can buy like first thing in the morning, market open. So I think a lot of people are gonna be looking to buy get another brokerage for their penny stocks, I believe, after this.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I just eat the cost with TD, but it's just because I also have a retirement account that I can access from there, and I can't take it anywhere else. So I might be lazy, but I like to look at everything all at once. So.
And nothing wrong with that. It saves time. So yeah, we look forward to having kind of this ongoing interviews with you as DD comes out or new penny stocks come out that you would like to get out to people or just whatever. I really enjoy going in your Discord. There's some days that I spend a lot more time there than I do in the Bull House, which is saying a lot.
I won't tell anyone.
Yeah, I have to find these people for this interview, that we're doing. I really appreciate you being the first one. It's a great pleasure to sit here and talk with you about it, and hopefully we can hear from you again soon.
Well, thank you, and thank you for having me on.
No problem. We'll see you again soon, hopefully.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, good night.